we're able to get a user by ID, but this time we're going to create a user record. That's what we're going to do this time, and we need to set values to create that. So we're expecting username, we're expecting first name, and we're expecting last name based on the columns in our table. Like if you see here, we have ID, and ID is serial, so it's created by itself, so it's auto incremented, so we don't need to set that. The username, we need the first name, last name. Created at is not going to be needed too, because we're going to set the current date to that to be created, and updated at is going to take also the current date of when that was created, because that's the first time that it's updated, sort of. So let's come back here and let's go back to user here. So we're going to go down to this. We have this class method called create, and it's expecting parameters. That's why we have params here. And these two asterisks we have before means that it's going to be a dictionary, more like a key value pair relationship we're expecting. And that's why, if you see here, we have the username as key and the value as what we have here. Same with these ones. So that's just what this means. So as usual, we'll make our connection to our database. Then first we need to set the created at variable. So created at is going to take the datetime model. So it's going to take datetime. So it means that we have to import that, and that's why I imported datetime here. So let's come back here, and you can see datetime. So it's taking a method from that model, datetime, and another one saying now. So now means get the current date. That's what it means. Datetime now. So get the current date. So the issue with this is it's going to bring out an entire string of values, like date values, and I would have to reduce that to basically the format I want it to look like, which is this format where you have the year, the month, and the day. So let me just do something here and show exactly how it will look like when we run that. So this is, I'm going to run Python directly on the console here. So I'm saying Python that way. So it's creating that. So let me use that exact stuff. So datetime dot now, and let's see what it will give. It says datetime. Okay, yes, because we have to import it. Okay, so let me do that. Import datetime, and now I will run the same thing, datetime now, and now you can see what it gives. It says it gives the year, which is 2022. It gives the month, which is March. It gives the day, which is 22nd, and it gives some other values like the hour. It gives the minutes. It gives the seconds, and I think this, I don't know what that is. That's microseconds. So anyway,
Microsecond.
yes, yeah. So anyway, it gives all that. So what we are interested in is just this: the year, the month, and the date. So we have to, the easiest way to do is to convert this into a string and then slice it. So we just need the first maybe 10 values, which will cover up for the year, the month, and the day. So that's what we did here. So after we got this, we now converted it into a string. Then we did this to slice out the first 10 values, and we store it in a variable called created at. So once we're done with that, then we are now going to use the set user to set the values we will get from here. So it's going to set the username, set the first name, and set the last name. And that's what we have here. So the parameters that will be fed to it is going to get the username. This how to make reference to the value. Just call the key. From dictionary, you call the key, and it will give you the value. And we'll save that as the username, first name, last name, created at, and updated at. Remember, it's going to take this created at variable here, which is the string of the time which we sliced. So to store that as created at and updated at. But these other ones are going to, and sorry, every one of them will now be used to set the user. So it's going to run this method set user, and it will save all of them in here. So it means we can always make reference to this. So once we are done with that and we've set the user, we will now run context manager to create the cursor. And once that is done, then we will now run our query. And our query says insert into users table. We need the username, the first name, last name, created at, updated at. The values is going to take this position. So this is now going to be the first one, which is the username. This takes the position of the second one, first name, last name. This one is created at and updated at. So we have the 5 of them. So the values we are going to pass in place of all these variables, or whatever we want to call it, is what we've passed to the class as a class attribute. So the first is to take the first name, the username, and is going to make it lowercase. So it will make it small lowercase. That's it. Then the first name lowercase, the last name lowercase, created at and updated at, that was fed to the class. So it's going to retrieve them as values. Then it's going to execute. So it's going to run this query and run the value and take in the values. So this is just to avoid SQL injection. That's why it's done this way. Then you commit, and then you print record created successfully and return true. And if there are errors, you say username has already been taken. Try again, because we set remember when we created the table, we said that the username should be unique. So it will create an error if a user uses the same username. Then the exception error is also going to give an error if there is. Then finally it's going to close the connection. So this is the Python script to create or insert a user into the users table. So let's try and run that. Right now we have the user, which is from the models package, the users model that we have here. And if you get in there, we have access to the user, which is the class here, and create is the method which we are calling here. And then it's going to expect these values as the params. So these are the values we provide in here. So let's run this and see. So we'll run this, and now we can see record created successfully. So let's go back to the pgadmin to view that, and let's refresh the server. And now let's come down to users, and we're going to view all rows. So once we do that, now you can see it has created the user ID 6, username Iometa, first name, my name, last name, and now it also inserted the created and updated at date, which is today. So that is how to create records or insert records in the Postgres SQL table using Python and PCyclepg2 and PCyclepg2. So that's how to do that.